Good evening. It is time for today's tax talk. The Biden administration has revealed a plan, and so the tax man cometh. We all expected it, but here they come. So let's start the show. Show today is Monday, September 13th, and we're talking about tax increases because that's the news, right? I was looking at all of my news briefs from over the weekend, and there was really no big news over the weekend. I did a search this afternoon, and of course I heard it on the news about the plan that's coming to light. We all kind of knew what the plan was. I don't think it's been hidden. I don't think anybody didn't understand that the tax man was coming, and the way that they kind of tell us that, hey, this is only going to be against people that make more than $400,000 a year. So don't you worry about it. You're not going to pay more in taxes. Only the rich and the corporations are going to pay. And if you deal with cryptocurrency, well, you'll have to pay too. And if you run your own small business with the pass-through, well, okay, you'll have to pay a little bit more there too. But otherwise, only the $400,000 or more, we don't have to worry about it. And again, this is the plan. I think. Well, let's read the because I think the devil, as they say, right? The devil is in the details. So let's get down to the details. Let's figure that what that means. Okay. So first story I'm going to read from CNBC because they have some good bullet points, right? The House Democrats propose new tax hikes to pay for their $3.5 trillion bill. Here are the details. Okay, so $3.5 trillion is a bill that they're trying to get passed. I think Manchin and Sinema from Arizona are standing in the way. There's going to be great pressure on them to pass this. I think Joe Manchin said he might do $1 trillion. And this is where we are. But remember now, this started at $6 trillion, and they compromised to $3.5 trillion. Part of that $6 trillion, though, to be fair, was part of the $1.9 trillion or $2 trillion that was passed in the stimulus, right? Or not the stimulus, the infrastructure bill. And so this is 3.5 on top of that, 3.5 trillion. I got to keep saying trillion because I think people lose sight of what $3.5 trillion is. And we kind of throw these terms around like it's not a lot of money or like this is normal spending for Congress. Unfortunately, they do spend out of control, but nothing like this. This has never been in the trillion. We never really approached the $1 trillion mark, and now we're at the $3.5 trillion mark, and plus the 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.9, whatever that was for the infrastructure bill. So this is not, this does not stand alone. So House Democrats outlined tax increases they aim to use to offset the $3.5 trillion in spending on the social safety net and climate policy. So that's what it's, right? The infrastructure bill is a different bill. So when if you support infrastructure spending, that ain't this. This is not infrastructure spending. As it says here, this is social safety net and climate policy spending, right? We already know that that's money that's giveaway. That's money that's giveaway. That means news just came in. So let's read the new news. The proposal includes top corporate and individual tax rates of 26.5% and 39.6% respectively. Well, that doesn't really mean anything until we look to see where they were, right? Because most people don't realize what the level is And we'll get to that in the details here. The tax plans could change as Democrats try to craft and pass the final bill in the coming weeks. Well, that's the good old-fashioned horse trading, as they say. So here's the Capitol. Beautiful building. Okay, House Democrats, let's see if I should probably blow this up a little bit so you can read it a little bit on screen. Okay, so House Democrats unveiled a sweeping proposal Monday for tax hikes on big corporations and the wealthy to fund President Joe Biden's $3.5 trillion rebuilding plan as Congress speeds ahead to shape the far-reaching package that touches almost all aspects of domestic life. So I've been telling people, look at for 18 months, they've been telling us the wealthy, the tax gap, the corporations, these are what we're going after. And they keep telling us how they're cheating. Oh, they're cheaters. They're liars. They're cheaters. They've been robbing the American public for generations. And we're going to put an end to that. It's just not true. First, it's not true that they've been stealing. It is true that there are some tax advantages for people with money, but that's always going to be true. And if you think that the Democrats or anybody else is going to change that forever, I think you're just wrong. I think it's never been every time they come up with a new tax plan, it's going after the wealthy, and every time they tell us that the wealthy don't pay, it never changes. The story never changes. The proposed tax hike would revert to a 39.6 on couples earning more than $450,000, and there would be a 3% tax on wealthy Americans making beyond $5 million a year. For big businesses, the proposal would lift the 21% corporate rate to 26.5% on incomes beyond $5 million. It's still incomes less than $5 million are the corporate rates going up. So they're being kind of hiding the details here in more details. In all, the tax hikes are in line with Biden's own proposals and would bring about the most substantive changes in the tax code since Republicans with then President Donald Trump slashed taxes in 2017. And what happened after we slashed the taxes in 2017? Just a question. Business and anti-tax groups are sure to object, but Democrats are pressing forward. Well, of course they're going to object. Representative Richard Neal, the chairman of the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee, said taken together, the proposal would expand opportunity for American people and support our efforts to build a healthier, more prosperous. How does it do that? Prosperous future. How does this do that? Social spending? Is that helping the normal family, middle income family on a more prosperous future? How is that helping? How is that good? They keep telling us that they're going to build, solar panels and wind, and that's going to be the new economy. So we're all going to make great jobs by building wind turbines. I don't think that there's enough wind turbines to employ most of America. It's a daunting moment for Biden and his allies in Congress as they assembled a massive package that is destined to become one of the largest single measures considered in some time, if ever. Yeah, it's the biggest measure. And again, every year we get these all-encompassing legislation where nobody reads it, nobody knows what's going on. Again, Nancy Pelosi famously said, we need to pass it to find out what's in it. The bill is so big, nobody even knows what's in it. We know it's $3.9 trillion. What's in it? I don't know. We'll find out. There's this, and they only tell you what they think you'll like in it. They don't tell you all the goodies that are buried in the details. And of course, you won't know the details. Nobody reads the bill. Nobody. You won't know the bill. One Democratic senator vital to the bill's fate says the cost will need to be slashed to $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion to win his support. Well, we already know it ain't going to be $1 trillion. Right, because he already said he'd go to 1.5 trillion, and that's already given up half of it. That's a 50% increase in what he's agreeing to. So, that's the Baltimore Sun take on this. Let's read more. There is more. I knew there was more there because I read the story. Okay, let's read more. Senator Joe Manchin also cautioned there was no way Congress will meet this late September goal from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for passage, given his current wide differences with liberal Democrats and how much to spend and how to pay for it. I cannot support $3.5 trillion, Manchin said Sunday, citing the particular his opposition to the proposed increase in the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28% and a vast new social spending. We don't have the need to rush into this. Well, it doesn't make sense that we should stop and look at the bill and read it and debate it and kind of go back and forth and have news reports about it and have different stories written about what's in the bill and then we can all kind of come to an agreement. Well, yeah, let's spend that kind of money. No, we're just all going to rush. We got to get it done by September, end of September. We got to do it. Why? Because we got to. Because we have to. Democrats have no votes to spare if they want to enact Biden's massive Build Back Better agenda, with the Senate split 50-50 and Vice President Kamala Harris the tiebreaker if there is no Republican support. Democratic congressional leaders have to set a target of Wednesday for committees to have the bill drafted. It's not even drafted yet. They don't even know what's in it yet. And they're going to tell you that they can have it passed by the end of September. That's 15 days, 18 days to get this massive $3.9 trillion bill drafted and passed in 15 to 18 days. They don't even know what's in the bill. They don't want to tell you what's in the bill. That's why. This meets the two core goals of the president laid out at the beginning of this process. It does not raise taxes on Americans earning under $400,000. That's just not true. Okay, there's lots of taxes in here that will affect everybody under $400,000. There's not even a question about that. Not directly. They're not going to. Well, I think that could be changed too, even the bottom rate, and it repeals the core elements of Trump's tax giveaways for the wealthy and the corporations. He said it. So the wealthy and the corporations. What about again? What happened after that tax decrease? Right. We all should be pushing for. I learned long ago, at least I say this. I learned long ago that I think my neighbors and here where I live, I think they want tax increases. I've been against them. I've been railing against them for many, many years, and we still vote, and our votes go against me. So we keep voting for people who want tax increases. So I have come to the conclusion that people want tax increases, unless it's SALT. Remember, we talked about that last week. SALT. That the state and local taxes that they raised on the wealthy, and now they want to take them away. Why would they want to take them away? And then increase their income taxes somewhere else. Well, it's very clear why that is, right? And we talk about it all the time about where is this going? Again, I think most of the time my neighbors and fellow Illinois citizens, I don't like the term Illinoisans. We must want tax increases. They keep coming. And it's the same in the federal government, it's the same in the state government, right? We keep getting tax increases. And we keep voting for the same people over and over and over again. So I've come to the conclusion we want tax increases. Okay. Much of the revenue raised would come from higher taxes on corporations and the highest earners. Much of the revenue. Where would the other revenue come from? I thought we were only going to do $400 to people who make more than $450,000 a year. Married couples who make $450,000 a year. Because single, it's not that high, right? Press reportedly about the price tag he would support. Manchin said it's going to be 1.5 trillion. Again, we just call it 1.5, 1.7, 1.6 trillion dollars. Trillion. He suggested the range was based on a modest rise in the corporate tax rate to 25%. We think that we just take the money away and then we get to spend it here, and it has no effect on the economy and the rate of GDP and all of this other stuff that happens. And so they just say, well, look at what it was last year. If we had, if we increase the taxes 4% or 5%, we would get X amount of money. So that's what we're going to count on if we raise the taxes without understanding. And they understand that this dynamic, that these numbers change based on how much taxes there are. But Bernie Sanders, the Vermont independent who chairs the Senate Budget Committee, an avowed communist, is in charge of our Senate Budget Committee. Think about that for a minute. And in helping craft the measure, noted that he and other measures on the liberal flank in Congress had initially urged an even more robust package of $6 trillion. I mentioned that, but it's broken down. That included the infrastructure bill. And that's, if you put that on there, it's almost $6 trillion anyway. Well, I guess $4 trillion is, to me, that's almost $6 trillion. To them, it's not. That's still it's a modest increase. I don't think it's acceptable to the president, to the American people, or to the overwhelming majority of the people in the Democratic caucus. I believe we're going to all sit down and work together and come up with a $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill, which deals with the enormously unmet needs of working families. Does the Green New Deal help working families by raising their fuel bills and heating bills, air conditioning bills? Is that how we're going to help working families? The current blueprint proposes billions for rebuilding infrastructure, tackling climate change, and expand. Again, the rebuilding infrastructure was the infrastructure bill. That's already passed. That's not this bill. The infrastructure bill has already passed. It hasn't gone through yet officially because they're waiting. They're trying to tie it to this bill because the Republicans supported the infrastructure bill, but would not support this bill, and so they broke them in two. But now they're splitting them and rushing them both through together anyway, and that's just the way it works. From free pre-kindergarten to dental, vision, and hearing aid care for older people. So everything's there in that package for everybody. Manchin voted last month to approve a budget resolution that set the figure, though he and Sinema have expressed reservations about the top line amount. All of it would be paid for with taxes on corporations and the wealthy. So don't worry about it. I don't believe. Why do we let them keep any money? We should take it all away from it. It's good for the people. It's good for working people. It's not good for working people. Taking money from those who earn it is not good for the working people. It's just not. Congressional committees have been working hard this month on slices of the 10-year proposal in a bid to meet this week's timeline from Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to have the bill drafted. Pelosi is seeking a House vote by October 1st, near the September 27th timeline for voting on a slimmer infrastructure plan favored by moderate lawmakers. Manchin, who was on an op-ed earlier this month, urged a strategic pause on the legislation to reconsider the cost, described the timing as unrealistic. He has urged Congress to act first on the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill already passed by the Senate, but liberal Democrats have threatened to withhold their support until the $3.5 trillion spending bill is passed alongside with it. Because $3.1 trillion is not enough, and $4.5 trillion is not enough for them either, but they'll settle. But don't worry, it's only going to be paid for by rich people and corporations. So don't you worry about it. Everything's fine. We'll be good. So don't worry about it. So that's the tax news today. We'll have to go into this and look at the tax increases a little bit more thoroughly in the coming days because this will be news for some time. So thanks so much for joining us. I want to remind you that if you have an IRS problems, that you should get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Again, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Go to freeirsbook.com. Get your copy. It'll teach you all you need to know about solving IRS problems. freeirsbook.com. And remember to share, share this content because and subscribe to our YouTube page. If you subscribe, put a comment in the comment section and I'll respond. So thanks so much for joining us here today. I want to thank you. Again, sometimes it's Sometimes it's easy to have my job when I'm talking about taxes because it's all over the place. And it affects everybody. So let's not forget that. So thanks so much, and we'll see you again tomorrow.